You know, the biggest downside to having more outboard gear is definitely the number of wires I now have to contend with. And now that I have to do the boring job of running all of those cables in a safe way. Yay! Cabling, the best part of audio engineering, definitely. Hi guys, it's Summer, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, then welcome to the chaos. I do all things music related on this channel, from putting up covers and show reels to show people what I'm like as a performer in case they want to book me, to my favourite style of content, songwriting and production style content. And today's video is actually more on the audio engineering side of things than the fun, creative songwriting and production style things. I've been doing a lot of those lately, mostly because if you've been following me for a while now, you'll know that lately there's been a lot of upgrades going on in here that I have basically just been covering on my YouTube channel. And today's video specifically is going to be another little gear related video. I am not a big gear geek, so I am not the person to come to for advice on which of these to buy, but today we're going to be talking a little bit about preamps, because a recent addition to my studio is a new preamp. So let's start off with a little bit of basics about what a mic preamp actually is. So the basics of it are, when you are recording anything with microphones, the signal level coming out of a microphone is really quiet. So the way microphones generally work is actually reliant on movement, the energy of movement. When you speak into a microphone like this, there's a diaphragm inside, which your voice then causes to move, and the movement of that diaphragm will move other components in the microphone, usually relating to magnets, that is then going to create an electronic signal. That's the basics of how they work, and that's what goes through the cables. In basic terms, I am not the best person to explain all of this stuff. There are lots of great videos out there explaining how microphones work, so all you have to do is take one look at this microphone to know that this movement that's happening at this diaphragm is going to be really small, and a really small movement is going to cause a really small amount of energy. That really small amount of energy being transformed into electrical energy is still going to be a small amount of electrical energy. That tiny signal we can't really do much with. So in order to boost it so that you can actually mess around with it in Logic, you need to amplify the signal, you need to make it bigger. And that's what the amp in preamp stands for. It's a pre-amplifier. It amplifies the signal. So you always need some sort of preamp whenever you're using microphones. Most modern audio interfaces, I don't know why I'm pointing down there like you guys can see it, but I'll add other videos so you can actually see what I'm talking about here. That interface has a built-in preamp. An interface also has the parts necessary to convert the signal into the digital signal that then your computer can actually understand. That's its main job, really. Those built-in preamps aren't necessarily good, though. Good being in quotation marks there, because what is and isn't good in audio engineering and mixing and all of this stuff generally is considered somewhat a fact and somewhat personal opinion, in that some of the things that will be why you consider a piece of gear good or not good are going to just be facts about that piece of gear, but at the end of the day, most of what makes one piece of gear better than another is opinion. But it's also a fact. It's also a fact that the mic preamps in this are not that great, because one of the other things that preamps do, other than just boost the signal, is that each time you add a piece of gear to your setup, you're adding another piece of equipment that's dealing with your signal, and as it's dealing with it, it's going to add things or take things away from it. And what it adds or takes away, in its simplest terms, is frequencies. We'll call it things like tone, warmth, air. All of these are just different ways of saying it adds certain frequencies. If something has a lot of air to it, it means that the top frequencies are being boosted. If something's got a lot of warmth in it, that usually means you got like boosts around your lower mids. All of these words, they just mean frequencies being added or taken away. And some people will consider the best mic preamps to be the ones that add warmth or add air, because that's what they want from them. Other people will consider the best mic preamps to be things that give you a perfectly honest retelling of all of the frequencies that were in the room at the time of the recording. So up until now, I have exclusively been using the preamps in my audio interface because I didn't have anything else. But now that I've been recording and practicing and mixing and all of this stuff a bit longer, I'm able to hear things now that I wasn't as clearly able to hear back then. And so I have a bit more of an understanding of what a flat EQ response actually kind of sounds like, what something that adds warmth or adds air really makes it sound like. One of the selling points that they actually use in the marketing for the Focusrite Scarletts, or at least it was one of the selling points that they were talking about at the time when I got mine, was they made a big deal out of the fact that the mic preamps actually add air. But that also is what I would say is one of the main criticisms people have had when they talk to me about the Focusrite Scarletts, if they like them or don't like them. The main reason people often give for why they don't like and don't think the preamps in them are good is because they don't have a very flat, honest EQ response. Partially that is that them boosting their air, and I would say also I think they're missing stuff in the mids. But I now have a new preamp that has been added to the studio, and it's another piece of Focusrite gear. It is the Focusrite Platinum Vocal Master Pro. It's an older piece of gear, it's not brand new, it was secondhand. And it's not just got a preamp in it, it's got other pieces of gear actually in it. If you look at the front here, you'll be able to see that there's an EQ on there, there's a de-esser on there, there's a compressor on there. But we're not concerned with that in this video. The only thing we're concerned with is the preamp, because the main bit of this video I actually wanted to do was I wanted to test, one, if I can hear the difference, and two, if you guys can hear the difference, and which one we like better. So yeah, the main thing I wanted to do in this video was do as best I can a direct comparison. I have recorded one vocal, the exact same vocal twice, just through my interface, and then through my mic preamp, which obviously also has to go through my interface, but it's going through one of the line inputs in my interface. The ways I have tried to keep it exactly the same, both vocals are recorded in my little makeshift vocal booth that I made. Both of them are recorded with this microphone, one of my SE 4400s. Both are recorded with the same pickup pattern, with the same settings on the microphone, so all I did was had it set to the roll off the low end frequencies on both of them, which I'm now wishing I hadn't done. I perhaps should not have done that. I should have set it back, but I always have it set like that when I record vocals. I recorded them on the same day and I did them basically one after the other, so my voice is pretty much the same in them. Obviously the vocal performance isn't exactly the same because it's really hard to get a vocal performance exactly the same each time. I have not done any processing to them at all afterwards, and I only ran them through the mic preamp section of the Platinum Vocal Master Pro. I only put it through the preamp section. I did not add any of the other effects on there because you can switch them on or off. And I also did my best to try and make sure that each of them was putting out the same level, and I've done my best to gain stage them, and I've done my best to try and put them both through at roughly the same volume here, but I'm not sure how successful exactly I've been, so one might be a little bit louder than the other. Anywho, so here is vocal sample number 1. This was recorded through my audio interface, my Scarlett preamps.
I'll watch her cry, wipe the tears away. I'll watch her lie, tell everyone she's okay. And it kills me to know that she's just counting the days. What a waste. And I know what's going through her head when she's all alone at night.
And here is number 2, recorded through the Platinum Vocal Master Pro.
I'll watch her cry, then wipe the tears away. I'll watch her lie, tell everyone she's okay. And it kills me to know that she's just counting the days. What a waste. And I know what's going through her head when she's all alone at night.
Just based off what I'm hearing from each of them, like I said before, I think you can hear that boost in the higher ranges on the preamp in the Scarlett interface. Both of them have some whistly frequencies that are just like, I think, a characteristic of either the booth or maybe my vocal, but I always notice a sort of whistly frequency. And actually I think it might be my vocal, because if I remember correctly, these whistly frequencies we were also pulling out in the studio quite a bit. But listening on the Scarlett one, I would say that because of that boost in the higher frequencies overall, that's more prominent in that one. And also there are other prominent harsh frequencies, especially in my belt. I'd say that this one makes my belt sound harsher. And I think the other reason it makes it sound harsher is because I don't think as much of the mids is getting through. Whereas with the Vocal Master Pro, I think that you get a bit more of a flat response across those mid frequencies and not as much of, there's not a boost going on, there's not air being added. I could add that with the other features that are on there. Now, if I want to add things to the tone, I can, but I think the overall frequency response from this one is flatter than in the Scarlett preamps. And for me personally, I view that as better because I actually don't like too much air being added. I can do that later in the process, and I will do that later depending on what I want from the vocal. So I think I would have to tone down less in the second one to get my belt to sound full and bright without being too scratchy. It's the way I like to describe it, is when a belt sounds kind of scratchy, it feels like it's like clawing at you. You guys might think differently. You might have been listening to that and think that actually you prefer the way that my vocal sounds in the first take. The difference is really subtle. There may even be differences between the two of them that I'm missing. Anyway, so I just wanted to do that because I thought now that I have an actual comparison to make, it would be a fun little video to do a comparison, to test myself, to see if I could hear the difference and to see what I was hearing in terms of a difference. And I would really love to hear what other people in the comments, if you let me know what you heard in terms of a difference or not a difference, what your opinion on the two were, which one you liked better and why, basically, I'd like to know, because the why is the more important bit there. I hope that maybe it's been helpful and informative to anyone who learned anything new about mic preamps here, because this was something I was still getting my head around until literally just a few months ago, if I'm honest. If you enjoyed this video, then do all those nice things, like leave a comment, hit the like button, all that fun stuff, and possibly hit that subscribe button. I know that's a big commitment, so if you would like to go and have a look at some of my other content before you make the decision, that's completely understandable and something will be recommended for you on the end screen. If you want to see more from me and generally support me as a creator, I have a Buy Me a Coffee linked in the description below, and my membership gets you access to things like outtakes videos and fun little behind the scenes things. And if you want to just keep up with me in general when I'm not making videos on here, then you can follow all of my social media in the comments below. Not comments, description, in the description below. But that's all from me for this week, guys, and I will see you next week with another video. Bye!
You just right in front of